talk about this story with Elon Musk. Now, I've noticed that with all of the attention focused on X and censorship, all of the attention that has been focused on Elon Musk recently has been in reference to him allowing certain content on X, his visit in Israel with Netanyahu. And I think that something may have fallen under the radar. In fact, it was one of you who sent this information to me because you see, Elon Musk is an entrepreneur. He's not just this guy that owns X. He also owns Tesla, but he is a businessman. This is what he does. And one of the other projects that he is apparently working on is a startup for a brain chip. And this is called Neuralink. Now, there are pros and cons to this, so I want to show the good and the bad. And Eric is going to join me towards the end of this segment because he has some things to say as well. Of course, he's a big tech guy. But we're going to get started with the good, the bad, and the unknown in reference to Elon Musk Neuralink. Let's go ahead and get right into it here.
The development of brain-machine interfaces represents a significant advancement in neuroscience and clinical neurology. One of the leading technologies in this field is Neuralink, a company founded by Elon Musk. To understand the workings of Neuralink and similar brain-computer interfaces, one must first take a look at the biochemical processes in the brain. The human brain consists of approximately 86 billion nerve cells that communicate with each other to process information and elicit responses. This communication occurs through electrical impulses and the release of neurotransmitters. By measuring these electrical impulses and interpreting the data, it is theoretically possible to capture and control thoughts and movements. Neuralink and similar technologies utilize tiny electrodes, referred to as threads, that are implanted into the brain to capture electrical signals and communicate.
Let's pause there for just a second. I just want to see by a show of hands in the chat, how many of you would feel comfortable with a brain chip implanted into your brain? How many of you would feel comfortable with that? If you would feel comfortable, say yes in the chat. If you would not feel comfortable, say no in the chat. I mean, I can tell you how I would feel. I personally would not feel comfortable. I don't want any chips being put into any part of my body, let alone my brain. Obviously, when you start messing with the brain there, it can get a little finicky, right? You got to be careful with that. But Elon Musk says he has good intentions with this technology. So let me go back just a little bit because he was talking about communication, and let's go on.
The brain to capture electrical signals and communicate with computers. The idea is that people might be able to interact with computers without having to perform physical actions such as typing or clicking. The possibilities of brain-computer interfaces are enormous. They could enable people with disabilities to control computers or even prostheses with their thoughts. They could also be used to treat neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's or Alzheimer's by targeting neural stimulations and associated activity changes in specific brain regions.
So those are one of the good things about this particular technology, treating something like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease. Obviously, these are two diseases that our medical system in this country has not been able to cure, right? And I don't know if any of you have had any relatives that have had to deal with Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's can be particularly tough to deal with, right? Because it can go over a span of years, and you just basically, you sit there and you watch your loved one degenerate, just over time, right? So they have not been able to find a cure for this. Now, there have been other things that have been said that could be linked to an increased possibility of getting it, but we've still stuck with this issue of how to treat it, how to cure it. So those are some of the good things about Neuralink.
An example of this is the prediction of epileptic seizures, which requires recording neural activity from specific brain regions. Newly developed methods allow for predicting epileptic seizures up to 5 seconds before their onset and suppressing them in a timely manner through a brain-machine interface. In addition, they could revolutionize learning and communication by uploading or downloading information directly into the brain. Preliminary results from experiments on monkeys appear to be promising regarding the feasibility of this technology. However, with all these possibilities come risks and challenges. One of the biggest challenges in the development of brain-computer interfaces is the implementation of the technology without causing permanent damage. Moreover, there are ethical concerns. How will privacy be ensured when thoughts can be directly captured? And
pause. So this is one of the biggest concerns I think that people have, obviously, physically, how this is implanted into your brain. Yes, there's a risk, right? I would consider this to be a form of surgery. There's risk with any surgery that you have. And that's something that people fully need to understand. No matter how minor the surgery or major, there is always a risk, right? So doctors will tell you this. But that piece right there about privacy, if you have this implanted into your brain, can Elon Musk assure everyone that our data, our privacy will not be linked or will not be released into the interwebs? Like, how do we know that he's not just capturing data for himself? And this also brings the question that some people have: is Elon Musk trying to control society? I don't know. We'll have to see.
who will have access to this information? The possibility of misuse of technology, such as manipulating thoughts or memories, raises serious ethical questions. In conclusion, brain-computer interfaces, as being developed by Neuralink, have the potential to significantly impact our future. The possibilities are fascinating and could improve the lives of many people. However, it is also important to consider the risks and ethical challenges and weigh them carefully. It will be exciting to see how this technology develops in the coming years and how it will change our world. What do you think of this new technology? Would you consider implanting such a chip? Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments.
So my answer to that is no. I personally would not feel comfortable with doing something like this. And then there was that question that he had there towards the end about your thoughts. Like, what if, again, it's technology in your brain? So how do I know that this technology isn't going to try to control what I think? You know, and what I think could actually lead to what I do, right? What if I, like, for example, what if you have something on your mind, something planned that you want to do, right? Let's take Israel and Gaza for an example. Let's say you want to go to a protest. You want to go to a pro-Palestine protest, and you're thinking about it. Now you have this chip in your brain. And so obviously one of the things they have concerns about is the idea of controlling your thoughts. So how do I know that this chip isn't going to just put some thought into my head that says, no, you do not want to attend this event because it would be a bad thing for you to do? Could we possibly be looking at mind control? And that's one of my fears. Now, Elon Musk did talk about this recently, and get ready for it, folks. They are getting ready for human trials. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to volunteer myself for anything like this. But apparently they have been cleared to start testing this on human beings. So let's see what Elon Musk had to say when he was questioned about Neuralink and this trial.
How far away do you think from that, and how excited or scary does that seem to be? And we read these headlines, obviously, about monkeys who died, as you know. What should we think about that?
Okay, there's that part right there as well. Ely says, what the F? No, there's that part as well. Yes, he has already tested this on monkeys, but notice what the interviewer just asked Elon Musk. He said, well, how do you feel about this, considering the fact that there have been monkeys that have died? So FYI, they're ready to move forward with human trials.
Yeah, actually, this is the USDA inspector who came by the Neuralink facilities literally said in her entire career she has never seen a better animal care facility. We are the nicest to animals that you could possibly be, even to the rats and mice, even though they did the plague and everything.
Okay, that's great. Like, that's great that you're nice and kind towards the animals that you're testing this chip on. But what does that have to do with the monkeys that have died from the use of the technology? So I don't think anyone's saying that you're not nice or kind to the animals, but there are animals that have died.
It is like monkey paradise. The thing that gets conflated is that there were some terminal monkeys where this is actually several years ago, where the monkeys were about to die, and we're like, okay, we've got an experimental device. It's the kind of thing we should only put on a monkey that's about to die, and then now the monkey died, but it didn't die because of the neural link. It died because it was had a terminal case of cancer or something like that. So.
Terminal case of cancer. Notice he's describing it as one monkey. He said monkeys have died. That is what the interviewer said. So if a monkey had a terminal case of cancer, how do we know? See, this is the question we need to ask ourselves. How do we not know if that chip could have made things worse for that monkey? We don't know. That's the thing. We just do not know. And I also ask this question. Do you feel comfortable with someone who is not a scientist, someone who is not a doctor, inventing this type of technology to be implanted into your brain? And that's the thing I ask. And look, I'm all for dreams and ambitions and adventures. And you want to try something, go for it. All I ask, though, is that there's safety protocols in place and that you are an expert in this field. Elon Musk is an entrepreneur, but I would not consider Elon Musk to be an expert in the field when it comes to the brain. He's not a neurosurgeon. He's not a doctor. He's not a scientist. So I don't feel comfortable. Look, just because you have Tesla, just because you're the CEO of X, that doesn't mean I feel comfortable with you putting a chip into my brain.
So, Neuralink has never caused the death of a monkey. It's the best, unless they're hiding something from me, it has never caused the death of a monkey. And in fact, we've now had monkeys with Neuralink implants for like 2-3 years, right, and they're doing great. So, and we've even replaced the Neuralink twice, and we're getting ready to do the first implants hopefully in a few months. The early implementations of Neuralink, I think, are unequivocally good. Speaking of the double-edged sword, I think these early implementations are single-edged sword, because the first implementations will be to enable people who have lost the brain-body connection to be able to operate a computer or a phone faster than someone who has hands that work. So you can imagine if Stephen Hawking could communicate faster than someone who had full body functionality, how incredible that would be. Well, that's what this device will do. And we should have proof of that in a human, hopefully in a few months. It already works in monkeys and works quite well with monkeys that can play video games just by thinking. So then the next application after the sort of those, dealing with tetraplegics and quadriplegics is going to be vision. Vision is the next thing. So it's like if somebody has lost both eyes or the optic nerve has failed, basically where they have no possibility of having sort of some ocular correction, that will be the next thing for Neuralink is a direct vision interface. And in fact,
so one of the things that he just said is that the next interface is going to be vision. So for someone who's blind or maybe someone who has difficulty seeing, here's my thing with technology. Look, technology is great when it works, but sometimes it does not work, right? Sometimes technology has these little glitches. And what if you're one of those people that decided to get Neuralink implanted into your brain, and then the technology just has a glitch one day? What if you're one of the people that you had this implanted into your brain because of the vision reason? Let's say you were blind and you're like, you know what, I want to go ahead and try it out and it's working out great for you. Then all of a sudden one day the technology just has a little bit of a glitch and you're driving and all of a sudden you can't see. These are the types of questions I ask just because I haven't worked in tech, but I have worked with a lot of different pieces of technology to tell you that technology isn't 100%. You guys have seen that sometimes on this show, right? Like sometimes people are like, oh no, what happened? Sabby just went out. So this is scary for me. Like I wonder if we're just moving a little too fast when it comes to what we're trying to do to better society, what we're trying to do to better human beings. I said the same thing about this GPT, those kind of things. I just wonder, where are we headed? And I don't want a chip in my body at all, especially not my brain. So to me, I am somewhat concerned.
Then you could be like Geordie LaForge from Star Trek. You could see in like any frequency, actually. You could see in radar if you want.
Yeah. So they put a disclaimer here because they wanted people to know, FYI, like the people that come onto the show, the opinions that they express are their own. It is not the opinion of CNBC. I want to bring in Eric. Eric is really big with technology. So Eric, I know you want to come in for this segment. What do you think about all of this?
Well, let's see. All right. Well, the first thing I always want to say about these big tech stories and implants and all this stuff is, in AI, is it's always oversold. It's the first thing you always got to remember. It's, they're basically trying to impress investors and in the market and everything. So it's AI implants and all this stuff. It's developing. It's a thing to keep an eye on and whatnot. But they're always overselling it when they're using words like control. Like it's going to control your brain. Like this tech is like so far away from that. It's laughable. But all that said, I mean, the biggest thing I always say with tech is it's a mistake to get too caught up in the tech itself. And it's really so much more about who controls it, who's going to benefit by it, who makes the decisions. So we have this situation where we got this child billionaire, Elon, who's just like, oh, I want to do brain chips, and let's put them in monkeys, and and I mean, I think that there is legitimate research going on there, but the idea of like putting it, in the hands of a billionaire who just makes up stuff, it talks to the kind of the problem of the whole system, of how it's we don't have these things anyway. The way it should run is there should be a government agency that represents all of us, that deals with this tech and these issues in a way that their mandate is to benefit the 99%, and not some billionaire making just these calls of oh, we should do it that way, and that's the key, is that it's always about control. And it's right now, these things only happen if you have a billionaire or a big corporation that sees profit in it, right? That's the big motive. They're not in it for the public good, to help all of us. And so that's the real key, is that we need to have a system that works that way. And right now, where everything is influenced and controlled by billionaire money and huge corporations, and you can only do this kind of research if you are that kind of a thing, is the core problem. So it always comes back to the old, money and corruption, and the solutions for that. And so, yeah, that was the biggest point I wanted to make, was that it's about who controls it, and it's about having a system where you don't have just the billionaires in control making these calls.
Well put.
And I also love how he made this monkey. He says it's a monkey paradise where the monkeys are playing video games with their brains.
I don't know, man. It's wild. It's wild. But case in point, like, I would not trust Elon being in control or something like this.
So we got to grab the reins, ourselves. All right. That's what I had to say.
All righty. All right, I'm gonna go to some of the comments here. Let's see what you guys had to say. Jacqueline says they've just been discussing on JB Font about Loki online being shadow banned on X. Yes. And Yoki has like really great like videos that's coming out of Gaza as well. And yes, he has been shadow banned. He used to show up in my feed and he doesn't now. Lynn says, oh, hell no. Lynn is not for Neuralink, guys. Kill Your Gorgie says, if it gave me superpowers, yes, but for nothing, no. Straight Path says they just want to control you more with the computer. That's what I was thinking about too, Danny says, not if the Windows operating system is used, LOL. Only bad. JB says, your thoughts are not your own. Good point. P. Smith, who's been a member for 3 months, says Neuralink uses graphene oxide. Graphene oxide is in the jab. Interesting. Oz says, if the chip will make my hair grow, sign me up. Oh, Oz. And Case Study QB is in the house, says, congrats to Sabby Sabs and getting 60K. Thank you so much, Case. Thank you so much.